This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, Secret Treasure Hunt land. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm recovering from a garden variety cold, so if I don't sound the best, apologize. It's the way it is at this time of year, I guess. But I wanted to recut Charleston for you because we've had a breakthrough. This is the fun of treasure hunting when you get at least what I think is a breakthrough here. Lots of confirmation about Patriots Point. So I'm going to jump right in. I'm not going to walk through the entire solve. This is the meat of it. And, we can talk details in a different video. But I want to jump right in and walk through this, give you the exciting news. All right. So, in Charleston, come on, y'all. There we go. So there's numerous Navy references in the verse and painting, and I'm out there on the boards talking about this. And I think if you are looking at the verse and the painting very closely, you'll see tons and tons of ships, Navy references. I'm going to show you more of that. Okay, but this is you know, yes, this is about Charleston, and this is African focus. Clearly, it's a big part of history. But like we've seen in some of these other puzzles, the focused group isn't necessarily a centerpiece of the puzzle. Okay, that was a mistake I made, and I did cut that video for you all on the failed operation number 1 here, where I made that assumption and was wrong. The Sullivan's Island, because that's where all the slaves came through. So that was, erroneous. So you've got this varying degrees of how the different immigrant groups are worked into the puzzles. Here, the final resting place doesn't really play into that at all. Okay, so I believe Byron buried the casque at Patriots Point. So it's right across the bay from downtown Charleston, and in the spot actually, you get a really incredible view of the downtown. And when I look at where I think San Fran is and New York, he's kind of he's got views over water, and so this one is the same. Okay, so journey does start downtown. You move across the old Perriman Bridge, and that's not there anymore, of course. But, you got the big old pair sitting there. But that's the crux of this one is, yeah, I think you do start downtown. You work your way over to Patriots Point. So the real giveaway here is the clock hands, and I mentioned this, talked about it a lot. And I think this is an easy one where if you get orientation based on the clock, it's kind of pointing not to the exact spot, but it's pointing very close to the area you need to be. And so when you will get that clock aligned properly to a map, it's pointing to Patriots Point. It's not pointing to Winter Point Garden. So everybody wants to be, not everybody, but a lot of people want to be there. The evidence doesn't support it. Okay. So that's why I think this is a big one for all the puzzles, that if you can really hone in on the clock hands and where they're pointing, gosh, you've got like, I don't know, 80% of it. So I think that's the case here. So Teddy plays a big role in this one, right? His image is even, or his representation of him is in the painting. So again, it ties back into the Navy. He was the acting secretary of the Navy, and a big part of all the history around the sinking of the Maine in that. So it all ties in. So here's the breakthrough element to this one: is a recently obtained photo of Patriots Point that provides crucial evidence that we're in the right spot. And this was just a breakthrough for this solve. Okay, if you don't believe the song, you don't like it, then no, it doesn't mean a whole lot. If you like this area, and man, I gotta tell you, I am absolutely blown away by JJP. And so if this turns out to be right, man, how this guy does this, I don't know. He can take different views and angles and just combine it all into one. I'm just truly, I think this guy's an absolute genius, and I really hope getting more boxes or more certainty around them highlights this guy and what he's done, and his ability to see things like, I don't know. So the Pirate House, talk about this. This is a picture I took when I was there. It's really cool, and I don't know how you can't think that this is the start. Pirate House is mentioned in Treasure Island, and that's the first, few lines of the verse. So yes, then I think you make your way, and again, others have shown how to get across the bridge, and we'll probably circle back and do another video on that, but I don't want to take too much time. But he's showing you the pair. It's huge, and it's kind of almost sitting on the bridge there in the painting. So this is what we're going on to get us over there. So when you look at PB Works, and I always like to cite the areas and the places where I'm getting things where I can, and I remember. So in PB Works on their blog slash website, they talk about Navy Way is written in the main up here, and I haven't taken the time to actually sort that out. I'm going to trust them, and I think a lot of people believe this to be the case. If nothing else, the word Navy. So it's like, man, if this is right, he's telling you like this is a really important element, the Navy, right? So go with that. Go with that. So Navy was an American film. It was a recruiting film for the Navy. So that's really key. So now I'm going to come out of the presentation here and zoom in on this picture. So this is what I'm talking about, the orientation. I think if you get the clock and you understand the areas, and I think what you got to do in this one, it's as simple as aligning the Fort Sumter imagery, which is a combo of the famous photo of Teddy, which I will show you. Just orient that to how Fort Sumter sits on the map. So you'd say, well, why don't you, look at the big hand of the clock here? And my view on that is it's pointing like out into the ocean. So you got to pick. You got to pick. Um, Clearly, I think you have to be near the downtown. So go with the small hand. So this is a small hand overlaid, um, on that imagery, and I think you do your best. It's not an exact fit, but it's really close. I mean, he's got it elongated, I think, to represent the famous Teddy photo, but you can see, right? I mean, so you follow that small hand, and where does it lead you? It leads you right up to Patriots Point. So the thing is, it's not pointing um, to the downtown. It's or Winter Point Gardens. It's pointing to Patriots Point. Now, is it the exact location? No. I mean, here's the ship. I think it's over here, but it's close, right? So you say like with the clock hands and other pointers like um, in St. Augustine, for example, and even Roanoke, right? You follow those hands, and there's a clock in that one. Um, he's giving you the general location, so it's like, let's say this is wrong. I think that would be proven in that you can't make good connections to where this is pointing. Now, if where it's pointing, you can make very strong connections to the verse, and maybe the fair people, yeah, like run with that, right? It's like, wow, this adds up. It makes sense. And so, absolutely, I mean, if there's a place that speaks of the Navy, it's got to be Patriots Point. So it just adds up, right? And then all these other visuals that I'm going to show you. So yeah, your general location is Patriots Point. So make that work. All right. So again, PB Works. I think this imagery is just, JJP does a lot of inversions, upside down, mirroring, and all that. This very clearly, I think, is really strong imagery. Again, you've got a ship, and then you've got maybe the neckerchief here or the back of an aircraft carrier. So hard to say, but yeah, I mean, when you really start to peel these things back, and even the flower, the daisy has very angular shapes too. And I haven't really sorted out the flower, but I'm sure you could make some connections there to the ships, I guess. All right. So let's move along here. So this, the shape of the arms is very odd. Try to get your arms in that position. It's it's not easy. So I think the tie-in here for me, and this certainly could be wrong, but this angle here it's pretty unique to have the ships stacked up like this. Um, I've never seen a pier like this, and certainly I don't know of historic naval vessels assembled like this. So it is an odd sort of thing to be doing with your arms. So I think that's important. I think if you find a shape that fits this, it's probably good. So up in a Winter Point Garden, I'm not sure what explains this placement of the arms, but this is the best one I can find. I think it's pretty good. You've got this angle, and by the way, the fingers are pointing down. Whoops, I don't know why it does that. So the fingers are pointing, come on, stop, are pointing down to this area. Okay, so this is this background image is 1980. So this is like right spot on for the time frame we need, but the hands are pointing down here. Is it exact? No, I think we're closer to over here, and I'll show you that. But this is, I think, a great match. Okay, so this is our breakthrough. So the Patriots Point, and speaks to, I guess, I joined the Patriots Point group on Facebook, and they came through with this photo, and I was like, wow, thank you, folks, because I had some discussions with the curators. And I was like, hey, can I get some old photos? And nothing they provided showed this area. So let me just back up for a second. So this whole parking lot was redone. I don't know, like probably 83, maybe early to mid 80s. So right after he would have buried it. So they redid the parking lot. They changed the road system around there. Big changes. So the problem, right, like so many of these other puzzles, the area's changed so much, man-made and natural changes. In this area, hurricanes come through and like change this natural area. I don't know how many times. So you can't really look at Google Maps, to get a sense for where you're at today. Yes, but looking back to where he would have put it, you got to go back to these old photos, and what you see is, just these big changes in this area. So we're faced with that again. So here's here's the beauty of this photo. It shows this area where I think we're looking at, which is right near the pier leading out to the Yorktown and the other ships. So this photo was like, oh man, so awesome. So I'm gonna zoom in on this a little bit more. This is the Laffey, okay, the USS Laffey, and this ship has come in and out because they did a refurbishment of it. And also, and I don't know the name of this submarine here, but you had these two ships together, and that's actually, you see that in the painting as well. So it's kind of off to the right side. You see these two sort of lines. I don't have that here to show you, but so these two sort of stacked up. You see that, I think, in the painting as well. But the cool thing about this photo, and it was so telling, is it confirmed a couple things for us. It's the White House, right? So when you start to work in the verse here, like, does the verse make sense? It was this White House, and people debate where that is, and there's this cool White House. Of course, I think it's a hotel next to Winter Point Garden. But here we have these grainy photos, and I'll show you that. And we weren't sure, was this thing a White House? And you can see it's like perfectly angled to match the painting. Okay, so it's I don't know if it's an old visitor center or if it was a some kind of utility hut. It's really hard to say. I'm sure somebody could tell us who's or was around at that time, or other photos. But this photo gave us like, yeah, the White House is close at hand. It's clearly white, and the angle you'll see matches very closely to this corner of the painting. Here's the other awesome thing about this photo. It shows us these 6 flags up here. Okay, so when you start to get these things aligned, it was like, what is he representing here? It's kind of like the Hunley or a submarine, but you have 6 teeth, and then he's duplicating that down here. But and even like this middle flag, not the middle flag, it's like the 4th one. You can see these are triangular flags that were here, so they're teeth-like. And I was laying in bed, and I don't know why this came to me, but I was like, how many flags are there? So I'm zooming in on this photo, and then how many the teeth are there? And I was like, I think there's more teeth in the painting. So I wake up and I start looking at this, and I'm like, oh man, it's a perfect fit. There are 6 flags, and there are 6 teeth, and they're triangular. And where should they be? I'm going to show you that in a sec. But the flags are like right where they should be when you overlay the face or the Fort Sumter on top of an overhead. So it was like, man, I've got 2 massively supporting pieces of evidence with this photo that this is the right spot. So again, I think you follow here the small hand. So here's a cool thing. Get into this now over here. The cool thing is, if that's the small hand of the clock is pointing us to Patriots Point, when you zoom into Patriots Point, it's pointing then to the box. So if this is right, JJP has taken this historic photo of Teddy, which I think the angle in the painting is a perfect fit for Teddy's his face is off center just a little bit, or tilted, his head, and it matches right what he's showing us in the painting. And then it's showing us the big picture, hey, go to Patriots Point. But then when you're there, he's also got it lined up to point like right to where the box is. So he's doing like double and triple duty on these things. Like, how is this guy seeing this? I don't know. I think it's just awesome though. All right. So another component to the face here is the navy stripes, right? So I'm showing you that here. And then there's this, you can read this, but Teddy was a very important part to the Navy and the sinking of the Maine. And you can read all about that here, but he was a huge advocate of the Navy. So gosh, the tie-ins are just really, I don't know how you can deny them. All right, hopefully you don't. But here's the fit, and this is what we saw, because we've got this super grainy photo, this overhead, and I've played with it to kind of bring it out, but gosh, this looked like the mouth to me. And so when you start to overlay it, it's like I hate to say perfect fit, but look at the White House, right? We have this great photo of now. It fits this, what he's showing us, seemingly, right to the mouth. And those flags, right, are sitting right off. It would be north of the white building, like right in here. That's exactly where he's showing us the teeth are. Now he's doubling them up here to form the mouth. I don't have a problem with that. Maybe you do. But look at that fit. So if you follow the clock hand again, this is where you end up. So, I'm going to show you the compare and contrast to today and back then. But, I don't know. I can't do any better than this. This is the best I can do. So this was the original thought. This is when I looked at this old overhead. I'm like, gosh, that submarine shape of the mouth kind of is a good fit. And then to have the Patriots Point, that very crystal clear photo. Man, I don't know. Like, I don't know if this is my best solve. It's the one, because we've got actual visual photograph of that area now. I don't know. I think it's hard to deny this one. Okay, so there's the fit again. Man, it's so good. All right, so this is the last one. So this is the this is the view today of the area, and you can see the White House is gone, and this is now the Vietnam Memorial in here. And then the visitor center, or there's the new visitor center, is on the other side of the pier. So when you look at the old photo, this is that spot. So you're basically talking, on the show he talks about sand, right? It's buried in the sand. So this is a very sandy area, being near the water. It's kind of below this storage. They put this storage unit in. I think less than 10 years ago, I was looking back a bunch of old photos in like 2012. I don't think you see it. So in the last 10 years, they put this in. But how much work was done in here to get the Vietnam Memorial and all that? I don't know. When you go back to old photos, you see this area is like totally wiped clean. Now you've got some bigger trees here. There was a row of trees when you go back to this photo and you zoom in on it, which I'll try to do here. Like there's trees right here that would have been kind of right on the shore. So, gosh, I don't know. Like, would have gotten ripped out of there at some point, or did they actually clear it out? So hard to say. But the challenge, of course, here right now is you've got a $300 million improvement going on. So, they're going after this area again. It's going to be hotel and retail and all this. So I have approached Patriots Point. I don't think I've gotten anything back yet. I'm sure they think it's kind of loony. That's fine. But I'm like, hey, I think it was buried here. So I'll tell you what we're looking for is a sanctioned dig or at least a GPR of this area. Now, I don't know. They could have gone through this already because I think a new parking lot was what I read, at least, is the first thing they're going to do, and they've already started. So I don't know where this stands. And if they've gone in here already, it could be gone. But maybe this is a Boston situation where a guy with a backhoe digs it up, and they're like, "Hey, what is this thing?" At the very least, if we tell this story to the folks working there, like maybe they don't destroy it and throw it away if they find it, or it just could be gone at this stage. But in any case, that's the Patriots Point solve for Charleston. I hope you enjoyed it. Absolutely give me your feedback, and maybe you get as excited about this solve idea as I am. Take care.